The car we are featuring today is the sensational car that took the world by a storm and was created because of a war. And that is the Mini. The history, all the models and some interesting facts are ready for you. So without further ado, let's get started. The Sinai War was one of the wars that fought for the shortest period, 6 days to be precise. In 1956, Egypt fought over the occupation of the Suez Canal, and as the war ended, Egypt won and consequently stopped the distribution of crude oil to Britain and allied countries of the war. Therefore, England faced fuel shortage. By this time, England made bigger cars with bigger engines like Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Aston Martin, Jaguar, Armstrong Siddeley, Lanchester, Alvis, Humber and so on. These big V8 and V12 engines were not a luxury with fuel shortages. Therefore, this big car market soon collapsed. However, the aptly named bubble cars took its place. Its engines were much smaller and required much less fuel. Most notable of these cars were the German BMW Isetta and the Italian Fiat 500. The head of the British Motor Corporation at the time, Leonard Lord, was not happy with these bubble cars as they started to disintegrate the British motor industry. Therefore, he wanted to get rid of these bubble cars and to design a proper British-made miniature car. With this in mind, Leonard Lord arranged some basic requirements on designing this new car. The car should be contained within a box that measured 10 by 4 by 4 feet. The passenger compartment should be 6 feet of the 10-foot length. The engine should be an existing BMC unit. Concerning production costs, Leonard Lord handed over this new project to Sir Alex Isigounis, a brilliant engineer who also designed the Morris Minor back in the day. The British Motor Corporation named the new project as XC9003. Sir Alex Isigounis and his team finalized the car by July of 1957. As Leonard Lord's requirements were completed, the new car started production on the same month. The XC9003 prototype and the final production version had some differences as well. Sir Alex Isigounis designed the car around the 948cc BMC A-series 4-cylinder engine. However, the production version ended up with the 848cc BMC A-series 4-cylinder engine, which had a power of around 32 horsepower. This engine mounted in transverse front-wheel drive format to accommodate more space inside the passenger compartment. In fact, 80% of the floor pan was available for passengers and luggage. This method was an industry first, and almost all small cars followed the same recipe ever since. This transverse engine mounting also made it handle better. The BMC produced this car as Austin 7 and as the Morris Mini Minor. As Morris was making a car named Morris Major since 1928, the next logical small car name should be Morris Minor. There was a car named Morris Minor when the new car debuted. However, this new car was much smaller than the Morris Minor. Therefore, BMC named this car Morris Mini Minor, highlighting the much smaller character it had. In 1969, separate Austin 7 and Morris Mini Minor badging merged into just Mini Minor. Its 41-year production life spanned through 7 models in total. Mark 1, 1959 to 1967. Mark 2, 1967 to 1970. Mark 3, 1969 to 1976. Mark 4, 1976 to 1983. Mark 5, 1984 to 1990. Mark 6, 1990 to 1996. Mark 7, 1996 to year 2000. From Mark 1 to Mark 7 saw the development of the Mini in a greater scale. As an example, the Mark 7 had full injection systems and driver airbags. However, the Mark 7 was the final iteration of the most iconic car of the 20th century. Year 2000 marked the end of this classic design. As its production ended, the most famous power plant for the Mini, the 1275cc engine, also stopped production. The Mini marked an important phase of automotive design in the 20th century. Therefore, in 1999, the Mini voted the second most influential car of the 20th century behind the Ford Model T. In the end, 5,387,862 Minis were sold, making it the most popular British car ever made. The highest price ever paid for a Mini was at a Bonham's auction in year 2007, when a Works Rally Prepared Mini sold for $196,980. From Mark IV onward, Mini produced many special limited edition versions. These included models that created to commemorate racing victories or to celebrate an anniversary for the Mini. Examples include Mini Rio, Mini Mayfair, Mini Park Lane, Mini Cooper RSP, Mini Flame, Mini Red Hot, Mini Jet Black, Mini Racing, Mini 30 and the Mini Monza. The Mini had small details everywhere. Early Minis sold with optional wicker baskets specially shaped to slot under the seats. The number plate hinged at the top so that it could swing down to remain visible when the boot lid was open. This feature discontinued after they found out that exhaust gas leaked into the cockpit when the boot was open. All hinges in the car mounted externally to save as much space as possible in the passenger compartment. However, the most brilliant detail is that Sir Alex Issigonis designed the door bins to carry the ingredients of his favorite drink, a dry martini in the correct proportions, 1 bottle of vermouth and 2 bottles of golden gin. Similar bins were provided outboard of the rear seats, also serving a dual function of bracing the single skin body panel. The Mini cars assembled on a jig rather than on an assembly line. This improved body alignment and accuracy. Sir Alex Issigonis won the Diva Trophy in 1959 for design and production of the Mini. Design of the Mini was so iconic that Robber Group, which owned the Mini in 1990s, registered the Mini design as a trademark. BMC saw the potential of the Mini and decided to use it as a platform to introduce more cars. All these cars look different from the original Mini but shares the same underpinnings. Wolseley Hornet, Riley Elf, released in 1961 as more luxurious version of the Mini. Morris Mini Traveller, Austin Mini Countryman. These models were two-door estate cars with double barn-style rear doors. Mini Van. The Mini Van was a commercial panel van rated at 250 kilograms of load capacity. Mini Moke, a utility vehicle intended for the British Army and built with a twin-engine four-wheel drive system. Moke is a British slang for donkey. Mini Pickup. The Mini Pickup, designed on the Mini Van and rated at 680 kilograms of load capacity. In 1969, under the ownership of the British Leyland, the Mini got a facelift. The restyled version named the Mini Clubman and has a squarer frontal look. At launch, all Clubmans had the 998cc engine with 38 brake horsepower. Later, the 1275cc engine took its place. The car was renamed 1275 GT. The 1275 GT is often incorrectly identified as the Mini Clubman 1275 GT. The official name was always just the Mini 1275 GT and it was a separate, distinct model from the Clubman. Sir Alex Issigonis' friend John Cooper, owner of the Cooper Car Company and designer and builder of Formula 1 cars, saw the potential of the Mini as a competition car. Sir Alex Issigonis was initially unwilling to see the Mini as a performance car. But after John Cooper appealed to the British Motor Corporation management, the two men collaborated and created the Austin Mini Cooper and Morris Mini Cooper, which debuted in 1961. John Cooper's Formula 1 technology saw the 848cc engine from the Morris Mini Minor increased capacity to 997cc, therefore increasing power from 34 horsepower to 55 horsepower. The car featured a race-tuned engine, twin SU carburetors, a closer ratio gearbox and front disc brakes, uncommon at the time in a small car. A more powerful Mini Cooper, the Cooper S, developed featuring a 1071cc engine and servo disc brakes and released in 1963. Since 1966, Cooper S models featured twin fuel tanks as standard. The 1275cc Cooper S models continued in production until 1971. Coopers from 1992 onwards were fitted with a fuel-injected version of the 1275cc engine, and in 1997, a multi-point fuel-injected engine introduced along with a front-mounted radiator and various safety improvements. Moreover, after BMW owned Mini, they also owned John Cooper Works. Therefore, the new Cooper S models produced together with the Mini since year 2000. The BMC's competition department played a key role in ensuring Mini's huge success in motorsport throughout the 1960s. Most importantly, winning the Monte Carlo Rally in 1964, 1965 and 1967. In 1966, the first-placed Mini disqualified after the finish under a controversial decision that the car's headlights were against the rules. BMC probably received more publicity from the disqualification than they would have gained from a victory. In Rallycross, the Mini finished on the podium in the first ever race at Leiden Hill Race Circuit in 1967. Several car companies owned the Mini in the past. The British Motor Corporation made the Mini from 1959 to 1968. In 1968, BMC joined with Leyland Company and became the British Leyland Group. Therefore, the British Leyland owned the Mini until it dissolved in 1986. Rover Cars, which was a part of the British Leyland, owned the Mini and renamed it as Mini Rover. It have not changed until BMW bought the Rover cars in 1994. After some time, as BMW suffered from financial crisis, in year 2000 decided to sell Rover along with Land Rover but retains the Mini brand. The Mini attracted people due to its simple but elegant timeless design. The Mini was the choice of Mr. Bean, aka Rowan Atkinson, Madonna and David Bowie. In the year 2000, the same year the original Mini stopped production, BMW introduced the next incarnation of the Mini, the Mini 1. This car proved to be popular among people. The Mini 1 excelled the original Mini in every way. It was roomier and more powerful than the original Mini but retained its classic character and blended with the car design at the time. And along the time, BMW introduced new Minis in 2006 and 2014. Thank you for watching this episode of Full Throttle. Wear a mask and be safe. I'll see you next time.